ever doubted that the criminal justice system may have flaws, look no further than the case of Kareem Bellamy. What would you do if you suddenly got $2,750,000? Go out and party, buy luxury items, get a swank apartment?
If I had to do it myself again, I don't even want the money. I would like my life back the way it was. I would like to be, with my kids.
Kareem Bellamy actually just got $2.75 million at noon today. It was a settlement from the state for this. 20 years ago, Bellamy proclaimed his innocence in court while he was on trial for the murder of James Abbott, Jr. Two men were seen stabbing Abbott on a busy boulevard in broad daylight, but witnesses who were later proven to have been compensated to testify against Bellamy convinced a jury that he'd done the crime, even though he was at home blocks away at the time. Bellamy had to be carried out, weeping, to prison. He remained in custody for 16 years, but was exonerated 4 years ago.
Getting out is not, that's the least of your problems. This is another world, that you got to learn to adapt to. You go through the psychological trauma.
He's talking about the 4 years since charges were dropped. Whenever any wrongfully convicted person gets released, media show up and rightfully tell his or her story. There have been 59 people exonerated in New York in the last 5 years alone. But speaking of years...
You took less than a year to wrongfully convict him, the same as they do other people who are exonerated. Why is it so slow to get compensation?
Jeffrey Deskovic was himself wrongfully convicted of a murder and served 16 years before being released. He's been awarded more than $40 million compensation, but used a lot of that to create a foundation that helps people like Bellamy cope when the state does nothing.
They don't provide housing, mental health services, cost of living expenses, doctor, dental care, job training, job placement, public transportation, technology. They just throw you out in the wild and, sorry, half the time they say that, most of the time they don't. Survive as best you can.
And for every person Deskovic can help, dozens go nationwide with no assistance. The attorney who initially took on Bellamy's case free of charge says that it shows a problem far larger than his client's problems, of which he has many, despite today's big payment. The attorney says the system encourages injustice.
You had a lot of people with education, a lot of people who knew better, who for whatever reason did not go the right way. But we had Mr. Bellamy, who was at the crossroad, who could have gone one way by just admitting he did something and get his freedom, but he selected the other way, which was to stand up for the truth.
And Bellamy's case underscores many problems with the criminal justice system. Right now, we are averaging 12 people a year in New York City who are being let out of prison after having served time for crimes they simply didn't commit. And when they're compensated, you're paying for it, right. Taxpayers. Right. Rightfully so, but you wouldn't have to pay anything, right, if the correct person were convicted.
Well, the numbers are just phenomenal. First of all, we're talking about 59 in 5 years, on average 12. But let's talk about this. If you actually, there are no programs for them when they're just tossed out there.
That's correct.
If you serve your sentence, though, that's another story.
Oh, yes. If you are correctly convicted and then come out on parole, there are state programs for you. However, none if you are exonerated.
Wow.
Yeah,
so many more questions on all that. All right, James, thank you.